Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, fine. Thanks for all the magazines you sent through and that.
Oh, don't worry.
Yesterday, I was rehearsing yesterday, you know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Has Christy phoned you up today at all?
Yeah.
She has. Has she explained what's going on?
She told me just that Yaxie had left, and she said you wanted to, would be able to explain better the details.
Right. Oh, that's great. Because, unfortunately, what's happened is Yaxie was just waiting around for a publishing advance, and then he was going to split anyway, you know.
That's kind of,
So,
I don't know, that's kind of unloyal.
yeah, I mean, I've been with the guy 6 years, and I've never had a hug with him, you know what I mean? I don't know him as a buddy, and I don't even know what his willy looks like, so I just figured that it was a waste of time.
Yeah. What do you,
life moves on, you know what I mean? I can't keep dragging somebody around, you know.
That's
I
true.
want to do something new anyway, that's what I want to tell you. You're the first person outside of, like, the immediate people I'm in business with.
Well,
so
thank you.
I'm going to do something new. I've not yet chosen the name or too much of the project because I don't want to tie myself down, you know. But at the same, I'm working with Kevin Armstrong now, who did the Iggy Pop album and Wild Child and that.
Cool.
Yeah, sure.
So
it's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be. It's myself and Mrs. Fiend, and we're also using youth who used to be in Killing Joke and Brilliant.
cool. So are you still going to continue at all using the Alien Sex Fiend name?
No, the Alien Sex Fiend thing, what I figure is, I don't know how you feel about it, is if we carry on up that avenue, it's just going to, because Yaxie and Johnny's gone, and maybe, you know, as you move on in life, certain things obviously don't carry on forever.
Yeah.
And I figure that it'd be braver to do something new than try and replace Yaxie or John, respectively.
I see.
Alright, maximum security was a departure from one territory to another, you know. And the way I see it now is it ain't going to change too much because myself and Mrs. Fiend do most of the running of this thing anyway.
Do you think?
You know.
Do you think you'll have any problem, like, with people, knowing, that the new band is the same as Alien Sex Fiend, or that, do you think you'll have any kind of problem reaching your older fans, or?
No. Because we've got a fan club, as you know, anyway.
Right.
I'm going to write to them personally, so I'm going to write a letter, so explaining myself and, like, from Mrs. Fiend's point of view, not sort of to put anything down or to say that wasn't what we was into. What it is now that stopped, we see that as the best time to move on as people rather than just keep digging up the past.
Well, that's great. That's great.
And, so there you go. And I said to Christy, I explained all this to her at length because she's been working on it so hard, and I don't want to mess things up, but at the same time I don't feel it will because I do art and music all the time. I don't feel that things is going to change that much. It's Yaxie was there at the end of the day to do and push things in the direction that I was asking anyway.
I see.
Which is not a put down of him. He's got quite substantial talent, but at the end of the day, he was a very awkward person to work with, and I tried to get along with that, as I explained about not even having a hug or any sort of warmth off of the person.
Right.
I can't deal with that. I need a good hug, and I need to, people I can relate to now. I feel that I can't drag anybody else around because I've not sort of got that much energy to expend on other people.
How do you? What change do you see in the music of the new project between this?
It'll be better. But we've already done. I won't let, like I say, if I let anything out of the bag at the moment and then change my mind, it's going to confuse things. I've already recorded a version of a song with Mrs. Fiend, myself, and Ratfink Jr. on drums and Kevin Armstrong on guitar. And it's blinding.
Cool. Well, I'm sure it'll be good. I mean, I can't imagine it not being good.
I don't let the team down. And the thing is that it's a bit weird for me, obviously, because I've done the Alien Sex Fiend thing for a long time, and we achieved, moments of bloody greatness, like when we got on the Cooper tour and things like that. And I've explained that to you. I didn't ever expect any of that. Ignore the Machine onwards was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, so don't worry about that. It's like, I always see it as when Alice did Nightmare, he actually did something that, you know, that was the first viewing I ever got of him as a performer.
Really?
And I'm afraid that was it. So, I mean, it's not that I want to go solo or I'm bursting to be a success. It's, I have other ideas that I need to develop because, like when I did Maximum Security and It and Germs, they were only ideas upon a basic theme of when I started, you know.
That's true. They're kind of like variations.
Sure, it's never been an end result of this is us and I'm sorry, but it'll never change. It's like ever changing, you know.
How much? I mean, I don't think I'd asked you the last time, but how much input did Yaxie have into writing the material? I mean, will the material still be the same, written the same way, or?
Oh, in fact, well, I don't want to sound rude because I probably will because it's recent, but the material go forward, I feel, because it's been, he hasn't been sort of brain connecting with us for since about the It album time. No, which doesn't mean he hasn't got any talent. It just means that he seemed to be looking for a way out of, you know, it seemed to have turned into a nightmare for him or something. I don't know. And the thing with me is somebody has to lead the ship. I mean, we're all starving to death at several instances across that 5 years. If I hadn't have got off my butt and gone and done some bits and pieces, we would have all been dead or in prison or, you know.
I know what you mean.
Much the same as like Mrs. Fiend does all the accounts and looks after everything so that we can actually manage to eat and have got this far. And you know, so it's, Dave did very little. In fact, he had what I should have had. You know, going out and getting pissed and hanging out and do a bit of recording and things like that. So, you know,
he was kind of getting
any great miss. So I'm going to now give opportunity to people that enjoy having some fun.
Yeah, it seemed almost like he was getting a free ride.
Yeah, it was in a way, but he has got talent, and I must say, if I hadn't have started the thing up with him, I'm not sure that it would have ever developed into what Alien Sex Fiend has become anyway.
That's true.
So he definitely had an input into it, but I now feel that I've grown at any rate and require more from my performance and myself. It's not just to, they keep dragging that around with new guys all the time, is to do something in a different sort of way, you know, so that can develop, you know.
What about live shows? I mean, do you
yeah, that's going to go on. I mean, I'm aiming to get to America, I hope, for the New Music Seminar in July. And I hope to launch this then, actually, by doing some of what's projected, you know.
Well,
and then I hope to tour in September and October extensively right across the 6 weeks, so Christy's working on that.
That'll be fantastic. But, I mean, how...
And me. It'll be wonderful.
How will, you know, this all change that? I mean, will you still be doing Sex Fiend songs live, or it'll be totally new, or will it...
It'll be, mostly, what it would be like, say... I think the best way to describe it to you, because, I mean, you're a Cooper fan, I know that, and
right.
I think you'll understand better, is it's a bit like also with Iggy when he left the Stooges. I've got to actually take this further for myself, because I don't want to do music looking at it as an end result in 1, 2 or 3 years, you see.
Right.
So, as an artist as well, I mean, I've developed style sort of thing, and like something that I'm quite happy to work within. But then, say, a year later, I have another idea, and on it moves. This time, it's just that myself and Mrs. Fiend have moved to one side, and Yaxie's moved to the other. So there would be Alien Sex Fiend material in there, because we've had such a great deal to do with writing and putting that thing as an end result as a record to the public, anyway.
Right, right.
So, I mean, I have to be convinced about what I'm doing. As the live show and the lyrics is down to me, as the melody is down to Mrs. Fiend, I mean, all we need to do is transcribe that then with what we're doing, like get into it and things like that. And RIP, I'm still quite interested in taking those further.
I see. So this will be actually more of a continuation on a slightly different...
yeah, with a different leaning. It won't be that different. I mean, the thing is that it will be a bit fresher instead of just stagnating into a quagmire and maybe end up sitting around on floor cushions with extremely long beards and saying, wow, you know. I'm giving it a kick up the butt.
Oh, that's good. So, what did you say you were thinking of calling it?
Well, that's what I'm not sure, because it's going to depend largely. It's going to still be in and around the same thing. I mean, it's going to be instantly noticeable, I can put it that way.
Right.
And the thing is to tell you now one thing and then to go back on that so that you get a completely different idea again, you know, is that that's what we're doing, and basically you will know the handle, whatever it will be.
Okay, great.
Because, you know, like I say, I haven't even gone to press in England about it, and I wanted to talk to you because on our meeting sort of thing, I know that you're like into the music, and explain myself to you to say I haven't gone sort of mega or nothing like that. What I'm trying to do is do it a little bit better rather than just give you more of the same.
I understand. I appreciate you telling me this. It's you know,
Right.
I'm really glad to hear about all this. I mean, at first I was kind of like, when Christy told me, I was like, oh no. But then I thought about it. I was like, well, great for them. You know.
Ah, thank you. I mean, that's the thing. Everything changes, doesn't it? We all develop, hopefully, like, you know, as humans or whatever you want to call us. The thing is, after I played with Alice and done that thing with the alien sexing thing, and the fact that it was brought to his attention and to Iggy Pop's attention, and David Bowie heard like get into it and things like that, and really enjoyed it, sort of thing. I felt that I'd gone beyond anything I ever set out to do. So the main thing to do now is to take that further. If I'm being enabled to do that, is not to just stamp around doing the same thing.
Right.
And that, but it doesn't mean I'm disregarding. I mean, unfortunately, like I am Mr. Fiend, and you know, that doesn't go away, does it?
No, that's
It gets worse.
that's you. I mean, it's your persona that you've developed. You know. What about? I mean, have you put any thought to like when you might have a record out for this new project? Or?
Yeah, we're aiming on. What we're doing is we're working closely now with all the people, sort of thing, in and around this band and that. So what we're trying to do is to actually launch it properly, to give like yourself, to give Christy and everybody breathing space to put this down properly, so that it's not just a mess, and that I don't give you false titles and, you know, a new name that then changes, to give you the facts as it comes.
Right.
So that we get this together and coordinate it so that it's a grown up and a wise move sort of thing, rather than just a bloody great big mess where nobody knows what's going on.
How do you find? I mean, have you done any work in a band situation with Kevin yet? I mean, is he still working with Iggy, or is he just going to be in this now?
Well, he's still working. He works with lots of people. Kevin, like, actually is sort of. I don't think he stopped. He goes from one session or one gig to another gig, and that. You know, he works all the time. What he's doing with me is he's actually working in with me, then up that stage to acquire, you know, them sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
So that, you know, instead of just sort of doing the same format and just employing somebody to take over from Yaxi, I feel would be a mistake anyway. So what I'm looking at doing is that I'm working with Rat Fink, who does bits and pieces, not just drums now, and that, like, Mrs. Fiend is now adopting herself to guitar and things like that as well.
Right.
I mean, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen from this, rather than tie it down to being one specific thing, which it never has been, I don't think.
No, but this seems to be more of a loose thing for you. You can kind of experiment a little bit more with the format.
Yeah, and I mean, as regards to making a record finally, that because I feel the sex thing is what's happened is I've maybe sort of, I don't know, like, I wanted to be Tarzan years ago, then I wanted to be Batman and, you know, Alice Cooper and so on, so the story goes. And what's happened now is that as I changed in them years, and that I'm changing now, sort of thing, which I'm sure is for the better. I mean, I don't think I've ever grown up anyway. I'm not guilty of that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think one of the great things about Sex Fiend was always that it wasn't, didn't try to be, you know, high and mighty sounding or anything. It was always kind of like nasty.
No way. No. No, sometimes it got very near to the bone.
Yeah.
And that, like I say, for me, it developed in ways where I wanted to experiment with it because I felt even then that to be just keep doing the same thing would be safety, even if it was going to be successful every time and it's a surefire. I mean, if you can't explore within your own territory, then I feel that's detrimental towards what you're doing anyway as an artist. Like,
That's true.
you know, you've got to be, like, I've become more and more aware of different artists, different groups, different music, different things about life and music and art in general, that to tie it back down to one thing would be really frustrating for me, because I'd be like having blinkers on a horse. I wouldn't be able to see anything to the left or right of me, it would just be straight in front.
Right. Obviously you said before that it's still you and your personality, and that'll still be part of the new project. I mean, do you think the band's visuals will change at all?
I think what I'm going to do is, the lucky thing that I was gifted with was I read an article years ago that Alice Cooper said is, if everybody had an Alice, nobody would have a problem. Right, so what my little character, whoever he is, you know, is he'd like to sort of do something else as well, because it could surprise a few more people rather than being very private about this. And then, I mean, the whole thing about like underground music and that sort of thing is to develop in your own time and that, and grow up in public, I think.
That's
Instead
true.
of keeping it all hidden until you've got a really successful formula, and then, you know, doing that sort of thing. So I've grown up in public, but the characters change throughout the years. Some characters have makeup, some haven't. Some are in a prison cell. Some have got a big banana between their legs. You know, it's like it's all different periods that I'm writing from and relating to pictures that I paint and to ideas that I had going way back. I mean, so I'm not going to drop those ideas because it's all part of me, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to do is obviously free myself of just having chains around me to have to do a certain thing. Is that like Nick Fiend is larger than life anyway, sort of thing on stage, and that, which is, I think most people know that have seen it, and that. So I mean, can't see that it would be that different. Same with Mrs. Fiend, if she's really into spaceships and Star Trek and things like that. I can't see that we've changed that much anyway. Like, we still listen to the Cramps and get off on the Cramps and all sorts of things. You know, I don't think it's going to change drastically. That is us, unfortunately.
Right. Well, what about, this seems like it'll be a little bit more people playing with you than has been, since the early days of the band when you were a four-piece. How do you think that'll change, like, input-wise, having, like, more than just three musicians in the band?
Well, I think that we could actually make an album whereby we could come to America then and do the bloody thing properly, instead of coming over there half-heartedly. Well, when I say half-heartedly, there's a problem within the band, like obvious tension. And
right.
That's not a fight, but, I just felt it was going backwards because I was having to fight against Yaxie, which is not his problem, and it's not my problem. That's why we stopped it, because otherwise to end up on the floor like you do at school, and that is not the way to resolve anything. So I just said to him, I feel this has got to stop, and I want to go and approach different things and experience different things, and that, which isn't being callous or anything. I've been left with the deficit of Alien Sex Fiend, like for the tax man and everything. So I don't feel that I've been wrong to him. He's opted out because he fell in love with a girl, and he's, like the old story, he's going off, and they're going to make sweet music. So, that's fine. I mean, I've like I say, I've got no malice about it. It's just, certain things, like during the split up, obviously are a bit like a divorce case, unfortunately, and it doesn't make life very easy towards sorting things out. But, I mean, I'm trying to be a bit more mature about not just being enemies, sort of thing, because
right.
It's too easy to do,
Well, I think it was really good. I mean, just being objective about this, I think it's really good that you did this now rather than wait until, like,
I've dragged it along another year or two, yeah.
Yeah, because now at least you have, you don't have that, if you had done it years from now, let's say, you would have had so much more stuff to unravel that would have, like, tied things down. And now it seems like you can move ahead more easily.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the music, like I say, again, I don't want you to understand that I'm putting the Yaxie down. I'm
I know.
You, like, as a person that I've talked with in depth before, that the thing is that, like, with Mrs. Fiend and myself, is even right back to Ignore the Machine was like the didgeridoo and the the whole sort of emphasis of that direction was from myself and her, like, you know, Sunrise and going right back through Cooper to Rolf Harris and that sort of feel of, you know, jungly sort of tribal thing and that. So, and the fact that Youth worked with it then and then Kevin subsequently on Acid Bath, the fact that now I sort of, you know, move on a little bit more and now I can work with those people, I can't believe that they'd even take me serious enough to work with me again. You know, so that's a brilliant compliment in itself, you know.
Well, I mean, Youth is a great musician and producer. It's nice to see. I'm glad that he's doing something with you.
Mm. That's what I mean. Imagine how chuffed I feel, at any rate, that like these two people have agreed to it, sort of thing, and I'm going to do something. They've both got other projects that they're working on, and that. Like Youth is sort of well engrossed in his own stuff, and that. So is Kevin. But the fact that they're coming out of the woodwork to come and help me get this off the ground, and then I hope that then I can put something more professional across, at any rate, whereby I'm being able to do more gigs and more records and more things instead of just being told no and having doors shut in my face all the time.
Right. Well, that was like one of the only things about Sex Fiend that I was ever disappointed about, was that it never seemed like you were able to, you know, nobody really would help you get over here and tour enough, and, you know,
right.
Nobody would push your records as much over here, and now it seems like things are looking up that way.
Right, that's how I feel, and I feel now as the Alien Sex Fiend has reached the peak, and it would be wrong to drag the corpse of it round, replacing Yaxie and Johnny Ha-Ha, see?
Yeah.
When we brought Rat Thinking, that was fine. John quit the band, he didn't want to do it anymore, much the same as Dave. He just said, that's enough, enough's enough, sort of thing. He didn't cry about not being in the band, he was pleased, I think. Because he felt that he was obliged to keep doing it because it was safe. You know, it wasn't really safe for us, but I mean, it was a means to an end.
Right.
Sort of thing, whereby we were starving to death at some stages, but it's better we're starving to death doing this. So we clung on, you know, and saw how far we could go, which was a miracle that we ever got this far.
It's funny. I mean, it's surprising me now thinking about it that you must have had this tension with him, you know, a while, and yet the last album I thought was really strong, even, you know, besides that. So.
Oh yeah, because the thing is that, like I say, as a writer, sort of like when we did Boots On, I think you must be aware of like mine and Mrs. Fiend's input sort of thing to actually, we don't necessarily go in and play everything. We're not saying we're big heads or something like that. But I actually, to Rat Think, I was like, to me it was conducting an orchestra. I was singing and then I want this, and making signals at him, you know.
Right.
You know, give me a door, bang, you know, give me a hi-hat, you know, give me some tom-toms, give me something, feed me, sort of thing. You know, and so it won't go away. I mean, unfortunately, I've been sort of blessed with this, and as far as I'm concerned, sort of thing, I used to beg to do this. I mean, I was in awe of Alice Cooper, Iggy Pop, and everybody else like that, and, you know, I still am to some extent, because, I mean, to have achieved what they've done, they must have gone through hell and high water, you know.
Oh, of course. Do you think that, I mean, I know that you just put out, like, a greatest hits type of record. Do you think then that is kind of like a good, like, capping to the band's career, like a good, you know, peak to end at?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Youth this afternoon, and he said, like, that, as far as he was concerned, it was brilliant, because he said it's all there, and it's all bubbly, and it's great, and he said for what it is, it's brilliant. And he said that, like, to move on with that name in mind, and the whole concept to stay the same, would be like, you know, sort of doing something to something that's virginal. In other words, it's pure, and the best way to leave it is like that.
Right.
And that, you know, rather than go in and ransack it, sort of thing, and spoil it, sort of thing, is to move on. But like I say, a lot of the songs I wrote all the words, and Mrs. Fiend was putting the melodies and that behind what I was writing. Same with drum beats and that, like, you know, like Believe It or Not, and Seconds to Nowhere, all those sort of things spring to mind, and Get Into It, sort of thing. They're very different sort of ideas, you see.
Right.
And I don't want it to be just one-dimensional. You know, I don't think anybody would at the end of the day.
No. Well, you know, I wish you the best of luck with this. I hope, you know, things...
Well, I hope to see you soon, and then be able to shake your hand and go, "Call blimey, governor."
Oh, that's going to be so... I really can't wait till you guys play over here because it's just like it seems like it's been.
I could do with the input of America right now because when we did Acid Bath, I felt that I had multiple orgasms and then went and relayed that on the record, you see.
Yeah.
Because all these things that I've read about Superman and Batman and, you know, when I was there, like, you know, to me it could all happen because America's so different to the UK anyway.
That's true.
You know, it's like if you come over here, you'd want to go into Whitechapel and you'd hope it'd be foggy, just, you know, like the old Hammer films.
Exactly.
Right, well that's how I felt, and it verified a lot of my ways of thinking about drum machines at that time, about, well, just 1,000 different things that I hadn't even considered, even that your way of life is so different sort of thing, and it broadened me as a person anyway, so maybe that's where I changed anyway.
That's true.
And should I feel guilty about coming out of the closet and changing? Is that such a bad thing?
Definitely not. I don't think so.
Rather than keep it all harboured and have these mad ideas but never tell anybody in case they laugh, you know.
That's what makes, I think, your music, you know, that's what gives it its spark of genius, is just that, you know, that quality. You know. I mean, are you going to, now that Rat's, you know, playing with you again, are you going to have, like, him and a drum machine, or just use, you know, him?
Well, he's gonna be doing, like, I hope, bits of bongos, bits of guitar, bits of everything, and I'm not going to tie him down, because he's like, to me, he's a new age Kid Congo sort of thing, like when he came into the Cramps, you know. And I don't want to tie him down, because he's like, you know, he's just got out of school and everything, so I don't want to fuck his life up by making him sit there and do what was the past. I want to let him loose in the future.
Well, that's great.
And that, because